What is the smallest thing that makes you lose your temper immediately? Fucking flies. I'm generally pretty chill, but as soon as a fly buzzes by my head I lose my shit. When I was a little kid, probably 5-6, a bug flew into my ear and got stuck for what seemed like forever. All the adults at our family get together were crowded around me trying ways to get it out. Eventually water or oil worked it out, but that goddamn buzzing and biting inside my ear for however long it was had scarred me for life. I was paranoid around any buzzing bug after that. I wouldn't let anyone touch my ears. To this day it makes me wildly uncomfortable to even let my husband of 10 years touch my ears. For example, brush my hair behind my ears. So I'll just leave you with that nightmare fuel, I guess. Sorry, this happened to me too. Had to go to the hospital to get it out. It kept flapping its wings in my ear canal. It was awful. I have an unconditional phobia of flies. This thread has made it much worse. My proudest moment in life was when I was studying for my physics GCSE exam and it was all going well until a fly kept buzzing around my head. I picked up my physics book, shouted at the fly, "I hope you like physics because I'm gonna teach you what the laws of physics clearly states." I whacked that bitch into a black hole and destroyed half of London. I had a ton of them in a cheap house I rented years ago. I had no money, no internet, not a lot to do at the time, so I watched those goddamn flies, got used to the way they move, and now I'm like a freaking fly killing machine. I can clap those fuckers out of the air and scoop them up off the table with one hand all the time. It's a weird party trick mostly now that I live in an actual decent house. But whenever I hear a little buzzing I get to practice my skills. If someone shushes me or puts their hand in my face, I go from 0 to 100 in no time. When I bite into a delicious sandwich and all the insides fall out of the other end, I call this sandwich rage. When a car pulls out right in front of me and then goes 20 miles per hour under the speed limit anyway, why just wait then? Then you get some guy who zooms up behind you and rides your bumper, as if that'll make the guy ahead of you speed up. Happens all the damn time and infuriates me. Unflushed toilet. A lady in our office would leave the bathroom with the roll of toilet paper hanging down into the garbage can. We moved the garbage can and mentioned it to her many times. Now, the toilet paper goes all the way to the floor. Last time I brought it up, all she replied with was, "You don't have kids yet, so you are going to have to learn for that to not bother you." Yeah, I don't have kids, but just because you do, it doesn't give you an excuse to act like a kid here at work. Betsy, I hate her for you. What a bitch. Seriously, people checking social media during a movie drives me insane. It's 2 hours of your life. Just sit there and watch the goddamn screen. If you can't do that, stop going to movies. It's literally that simple. I went to go see The Hobbit at a local church theater with my friends. They weren't interested in the movie, which is okay because everything isn't for everyone. But they then proceed to scroll through Facebook with their phones on full brightness on both sides of me. At first I positioned my arms where the brightness was blocked from my view. We agreed to sit together, so I didn't want to just leave, but it was uncomfortable, so I just eventually moved to a seat several rows back and sat with a guy I was dating. Enjoyed the movie so much more after that. Someone telling me to go do something that I was going to do anyway. If you tell me to go do the dishes as I'm walking to go do them, I no longer want to do the dishes. I have no idea why this makes me as enraged as it does. It's because part of you wanted to do it as a nice gesture or show that you're taking initiative. The second someone tells you to do it, however, it is now no longer your idea, and instead of doing something nice, they had to remind you and you're just following a command. And saying, "Oh yeah, I was just about to get started on those," comes off as an excuse no matter how true it is. It completely changes the meaning of the action both to yourself and to the other person. Drives me up the wall. People taking up the sidewalk and walking too slow. Immediate rage. Similar but driving. Someone wanting to see what lane is going to go faster, so they sit in both, so no one can pass them. Bigger frustration when they're the only car blocking you from getting to that light that you're trying to turn right on. Biggest frustration is when you're trying to get to that light to turn right, and they think you're trying to cut traffic, so they block both lanes. Talking over me. I get that it's a cultural thing for some people. In some families you never get heard at all unless you talk over your family members, but doing it in regular conversation is just enraging. Also condescension. Call me son or honey one more time, asshole. My wife grew up in a family where they all basically just talked over each other at increasingly louder and louder volumes to be heard, and I very much didn't, and it causes a lot of frustration for me sometimes. Haha. I can't get a word in edgewise because she doesn't connect. Somebody else has started talking with I shouldn't blow ahead louder, and I have to remind myself she's not being deliberately rude. I worked with these two mega over talkers. They just could not wait for someone else to finish what they were saying. The moment an idea popped into their head, they'd interrupt and talk louder until they owned the conversation. One morning they were talking to each other and one interrupted the other, but the other co-worker would not back down, so they were both telling their stories at the same time to each other, but since they were both talking, neither was listening. I turned my head to see what was going on. They both noticed the motion out of the corner of their eyes and, like ultimate predators, immediately turned to face me and tried to desperately hook me into their stories with their facial expressions, like nodding at me vigorously and exaggerated smiling. It was psychotic. I was like, UHH, and turned back around, and I guess they realized they had no audience, so both of them stopped talking. When someone chews loudly beside me, especially if they chew with their mouth open, don't forget the ragged breathing, also through their mouth, in between chews. I recently went through and still am going through a period where my nose is clogged almost always, and I hate myself for doing that. When someone can't grasp that something isn't as obvious to me as it is to them, simply because I can't read their minds, I don't know their whole life story, or I don't have the same educational background, or the same interests. Was playing a video game last night online and a new boss had come out like 1 hour prior. Someone asked how to take it down, and a huge argument ensued cause one guy thought it was so obvious. Bruh, it's day 1. Some people just need to be taught. Someone asked how to take it down. Reduce the boss's health to 0 while keeping yours above 0. Done. Filthy casual. When a roommate takes something of yours unannounced, like a beer from your 6-pack, or a big scoop out of your peanut butter jar. Nothing huge, but just enough to know that they took something from you without asking. I had a roommate that would eat entire containers of leftovers, or frozen pizzas, or giant bowls of cereal. Claims he was a sleep eater. Pissed me off. Like, I'm a generous guy. You ask me for one of my frozen pizzas, chances are I'll say yes. It's the act of just taking it like you are entitled to my stuff and ultimately my hard-earned money that enrages me. Also, sleep eaters eat things raw, and right out of the box, and typically only in familiar places, not in a new dorm room where your subconscious doesn't know where anything is. You don't turn on the oven, set a timer, and straight up cook a frozen pizza that doesn't belong to you. Reported him and he was relocated quickly. Apparently others had similar issues with him. People being late or unprepared. If I say I want to leave the house at 5 PM to go get groceries, I don't mean get ready to leave at 5 PM. I mean I want to be walking out the door. Losing 15 minutes in the grand scheme of things isn't a huge deal, but I just feel so disrespected if my time is wasted like that. Bumping my head on something when I stand up, it takes me by surprise and pisses me off. Even worse, when I slightly touch something with my head. For example, when I slightly tilt my head back and touch the wall behind me, it startles me. I twitch in shock and hit my head on the wall in the process. Just happened in the shower. I tilted my head back to shampoo my hair and banged my head like this by the shower wall. SOOOO pissed. Slow walking people. I can't stand it, especially when it's a group of 5 or 6 people that take up the whole area across. Move you fucks, you're not the only ones here. The biggest issue is that 95% of the time they're staring at their phones. Let the purge happen one time, motherfucker. One time. Really makes me wish I had some force push abilities. A nice wedge of force out 5 feet in front of me just knocking people out of the way. Like a fucking cow pusher on a locomotive. When customers would put the money on the table instead of putting it in my outstretched motherfucking hand, I will slap you with that hand. Don't forget the receipt too. Bills, receipt and coins all in a big fucking pile tilting down so the coins are already beginning to slide off as they hand it to you. Drives me crazy. Even worse when they just toss it bill by bill like they're in a strip club. Pretty sure most people who do it don't even have bad intentions. They're just that oblivious to basic manners. When people say calm down, this is the only answer. Telling someone to calm down has an exactly 0% chance of calming the person down. Honestly, I think people know this and say it on purpose, hoping the other person gets more mad and they can look like the nice person I am getting mad just typing about it. LMAO. Someone trying to talk to me while I eat at work. Come on, just let me have this 10 minutes to myself. Oh my god, this is the shit that makes me see red. Example, me. Finally sits down for lunch after being on my feet for 4 straight hours, just wanting to be left alone so I can eat in peace and silence. Coworker, every fucking time without fail, watcher eating comes over and peers at my lunch, then decides to start this whole ass one-sided conversation about her cooking, her kids' eating habits, her opinions on whatever I'm eating etc, and bothers me for my entire lunch break. Me thinking, ah yes, this is exactly how I envisioned my one singular 10-minute break going. Awesome. Thank you for watching. If you made it to the end of the video, leave a like and drop a comment on what things get you angry. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more Reddit addiction.